Let's start with the myth of registered hands, deadly
The
weapons.
myth of registered hands. I got to register these things.
That started back in the 80s, I think, with all the movies.
I believed
and
that. Did you believe that when you were a kid?
I thought so too.
I
I think
believed it, bro.
everyone, it's not common, but every now and then I'll get people who come in and they'll talk about their fight record and that they got registered hands and all.
They actually say, I have registered hands.
Yep.
Where did you register those at, sir?
It's only happened 2 times in the last 5 years of being open, but
Dude,
it happens.
is it just as expensive to register my van as it is your hands? Because I wouldn't do it just for that.
The reason that one popped up is Chael Sonnen was posting a picture of lethal hands.
Chael Sonnen is the man. I love Chael Sonnen.
That was the thing that I said. I was like, anyone else? Come on. But Chael Sonnen.
Chael Sonnen,
all
man.
right. I'll give it to you.
Chael Sonnen makes me feel like a puss, man. Like that guy, I saw a video where he was heckling somebody about their hurt rib, and he said the problem with your rib is that it's inside of a coward.
I saw that one.
Yes! Gosh, that's awesome,
That
man.
was perfect.
Even I could not say that to a person. That's brutal.
Problem with you is you.
You! The problem with you is you.
We were talking about the Optimus Tesla robot. It's a humanoid.
Yeah, I heard
The first designs are things like moving things or cleaning,
Yeah.
dishes, laundry, that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
people are going to do some crazy things with those.
Of course, you saw the evolution of it? Like it started out as
Yeah.
like could barely balance on its own,
Right.
and now it's like doing obstacle courses. That's kind of scary.
Mm-hmm.
I can picture that thing as a law enforcement officer,
Right.
And you hope you did everything right.
All
you
of a
know,
sudden,
like,
there's thousands coming
I
out.
don't know. It's a little bit iRobot-ish.
It
you
is.
know, scary. Yeah.
When Elon was on the Joe Rogan, he was talking about it's going to have a kill switch, it's going to have this. We are worried, but we're doing all the fail safes needed to shut this thing down. It won't be connected to Wi-Fi or any external thing. Anything that you program to it has to be manually uploaded to it, so it's not connected.
But
But
better iron out all those wrinkles.
if it's doing all that, why can't it plug itself in?
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like the thing can override its kill switch.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. I don't know about that.
Some of the AI that they were talking about, the way the programming was just predict the next word. Well, in order to predict the next word, it started doing a bunch of research and reading like tons of books and downloading books and all the software off of it. And it was like, oh, in order to get the next word for this, then I need to know all of this. And then now that I know all of this, now I can predict the next word, and the next word takes me into this. And so it's learning and doing things that they're not really expecting
Didn't
because
plan on it.
they were just looking for the next word, but it's going, in order for me to accurately predict this, I got to know all
I
of
gotta know
this.
everything else.
Yeah, everything else. And so it's going through.
Yeah, I don't know how
really-
I feel about that, bro.
Yeah.
I really don't know how I feel about that because like, yeah, AI, I mean,
We've heard about-
eventually we're enslaved to it by it. Like, I don't know.
We've heard about AI for all these years. We've seen all these different movies and everything.
Yeah.
But it really does feel like we're on that beginning of the movie.
We are. We're in the beginning of the movie, right? Or the superhero is still just a dude. Will Smith is still just working somewhere. He hasn't saved us yet.
What is about to happen? But with all those movies, everything goes great for a long period of time. So
True.
we might be gone before it goes corrupt.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point, man.
We might get the glory days before it.
Before the
Starts
T1000
attacking.
comes back in time.
This is one that I posted, and people didn't really understand the way that win-loss ratios go. So my post was, should jiu-jitsu matches be scored on your win-loss ratio? And one person said,
No, but you said instead of belt, right?
right.
Okay.
So one person was like, well, even a bad black belt is going to beat me. But the thing is that black belt won't be competing against other black belts. If he keeps losing, he's going to start basically going down the belt chain.
Yeah. I mean, what you did was you basically described how competitions would work if there were no belts.
Right.
Like if there was no, like boxing doesn't have belts.
Right.
So you have to be 23-0 with 21 knockouts to
Yeah.
get a fight, right? So it would be the same. If there was no belts and it was just like a sport that we did, that's how you would get fights. You would say, I'm 7-0. What are you? Right? You know. So, I mean, it's just kind of like a world. It's like an if world.
Right.
If there was no
Yeah.
belts, that's exactly how you'd get the fights.
I think it would give people more competitive matches than the belt system, because belts are so subjective
Right.
that it's difficult to be like, okay, you're a blue belt, but you're also a blue belt. You're
Right.
worlds apart.
Right.
This blue belt might be 15-0. This blue belt might be 0-15. Yet they still get matched together.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I mean, like, because like I started out my jiu-jitsu career, pretty strong, as a white belt ex-wrestler. So I think there was a point where competitively I was, a decent record, 12-0, like probably like 11 subs or something crazy, So would that have pitted me up against like a Hoffa Mendez back then or something? Like I'd have gotten smoked.
Well, he probably would have 302 or whatever. But.
Right. Yeah, by then. But I mean, I'm just thinking like you would be, I think you'd be like very disappointed.
But you would only get smoked until your ratio balanced out.
Or until my skills caught up to his,
Right,
which
right.
still hadn't happened
Yeah.
yet. So.
Because that's the other thing that happens is, okay, you might, win, and then all of a sudden you're now in that bracket of like a 70% win ratio. And now you're like, oh man, I got a couple losses, but then you get bumped down into the 60% ratio. So you're always within range. This is how competitive video game things work.
Right.
Whenever they're doing like, a Call of Duty or a Fortnite, whatever, they try to match people with similar, or both teams with similar ranking people to make it
Isn't
competitive.
isn't that how boxing works?
Kind of.
No.
With boxing, you kind of get. So let's go to Khabib. So Khabib, if you look at his first 16 fights, he faced a lot of people with no wins.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he really? He got.
He
so
did.
he had good management.
Yes.
You're saying? Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it wasn't really based on his win-loss.
He was a can crusher.
Because he was, 14-0, 15-0, 16-0, and he's getting these people that either have a handful of wins and not very much.
Right.
The later he got into his winning, so 13, 14, 15, he started getting better guys. But really early on, it was like 0-6, 0-5. Some of them were like 2-20.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, you see that sometimes where your guy gets the reputation of just being a can crusher because he's just getting fed these cans.
And boxing does that a lot,
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to work their guys up. If they go, oh, this guy's promising, they're not
Right.
going to give him a tough guy to start with.
Yeah, I feel like boxing you have to because like one loss will ruin you in boxing.
Yeah.
One loss will ruin you in boxing. So it's like
Those paychecks start dropping when you had
Big.
losses on your record. Security did nothing in Mexico City.
I
did you
saw
see those
that.
fights?
Man, that was freaking crazy. Dude got dropped too.
Dropped.
That last shot that he landed straight. Yeah.
Dana
Cool.
White.
Cool.
Dana White went over there. He's like, it wasn't stopping, so I ran over there.
Oh, did Dana get involved?
Dana White went over there and he was just watching because security wasn't doing anything.
The fight it was probably better than the fight in the octagon.
Right. And then there was a lot of memes coming up. Oh, the dude got signed to the UFC after us. That was funny. But yeah, one of the comments on it was, well, what if one of them's in the cartel? You don't want to step in and break that up.
I know, because it's in Mexico, right? I know, and he afforded some good seats.
Yeah. He's like, this doesn't make the UFC look bad. We're a fight organization.
No,
Yeah.
no, I don't think. Did some people think it did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well,
yeah, I don't
a
believe
reporter
that,
asked
no.
him if it made the UFC look bad.
Oh gosh, no.
Yeah.
Silly reporter.
One of the comments was, well, they're soccer fans. So, of
Yeah.
course it's going to happen. It's
Right,
not so much
hooligans.
a UFC. It's not
Hooligans.
so much a UFC thing. It's a soccer thing.
Yeah, I mean, fan is short for fanatic.
Yeah.
So.
All right. And which leads to mutual combat, which basically, I don't think anyone got arrested or anything on that.
Good.
Mutual combat is in Texas and Washington. So as long as there's no major injuries and both people don't press charges, it's good. It's,
Mutual combat is only in those two states, really?
Yep, in the United States. You
Man.
can legally fight each other if you both agree to it, as long as there's no major injuries.
Interesting.
So if you just end up with, a busted lip or whatever,
And who gets to decide what's a major injury?
well, I guess that would
Is
go,
it defined?
that would probably be based on the courts, I guess.
Okay.
Or if somebody wants to press charges,
Right.
or if you show up to the hospital with a skull fracture, they
Right.
might go
It was
on.
mutual combat till I lost.
Right. Yeah.
Then I
That's-
changed my mind.
One person said that he had a cop officiate one.
Officiate it. Oh, awesome.
There was
Dude.
a cop on the corner, and they're like, "We're gonna fight," and he's like, "Go for it."
He's like, you guys both good with this? All right, shake hands.
Go for it.
Kumbach.
That's a cool thing. That's fun.
I'm okay with mutual combat, though. That law.
If both people are agreeing to it and
Come
you're
on.
not trying to kill each other, then
Yeah.
no weapons come out, nothing crazy happens. You
Yeah,
just
for sure.
you want to have a boxing match, and But a lot of times the injuries come from people falling
Yeah.
and then cracking their head. So
Right. Yeah, no, they're never on purpose. It's
Yeah.
always a sad accident. That's why I always tell my son to like not mess with street fights, man, because you accidentally kill a guy.
And so
man.
many kids are fighting in the bathrooms now, and there's
That's
porcelain
so
everywhere.
terrible,
So-
man.
yeah.
Every time I see a video of kids fighting in the bathroom, I cringe.
So sketchy.
It's so sketchy.
We got a couple comments. All right, so we covered a few topics right there. Let's go back to the comments. We got a few of them. Where are you working at the moment, Nick? We're a bit before comp starts.
Where are you working? He's working right here, right now. This is his job.
Doing this. I've trained very little in the last couple weeks. Again, it's been kind of a crazy thing driving. So when I drove out there, it was Friday night. Woke up, taught classes all day and everything, and then we headed out that night. So, and that's a 30-hour drive. So I was up for a good 40-something hours
Wow.
that first day. And then I was there until Thursday, so that gave me like 3 or 4 days to kind of catch up, but visiting family and all of that, and then driving back. We left in the morning Thursday, so it wasn't quite as bad, but it was still 30-something hours of being
Yeah,
around.
there's no way to get around 30-hour drive, man. That's rough.
You commuted to Arizona, right?
Yep, 14 hours.
14 hours.
Way easier.
We came across snow in Flagstaff. I was not expecting snow in Arizona.
Snow in Arizona, huh?
It was
I didn't know.
pretty thick too. It was good snow.
Cool.
Yeah.
You guys stopped?
We stopped. Yeah.
Played a little bit?
Not very long.
Jack played?
But yeah, 25, 30 minutes, something in there. And, played in the snow. Rachel has wanted to see snow for a little while, so that kind of got us out of a Tahoe trip.
Nice.
It was on the way. The organization that he's competing.
How'd that go, man?
That
trip?
It was good. It
Saw
was
some
good.
family?
Yeah, it was family that I haven't seen in a while, so that was all good. Would have been nice to see my brother, but
Of course.
it is
a
what it
bummer,
is.
man. Heartbreaker.
Yeah, lots of family that I hadn't seen before. They flew out, and my family is so spread out across the United States.
Are
There's
they?
some in New York, some in Hawaii, and then like across the states.
But they all came, huh?
A lot of them came.
Cool,
yeah,
man,
so it was
that's
cool to
cool.
see people that I hadn't seen before.
It's nice to find a little upside to the
Right.
terrible situation, right? Like a little silver lining.
And then Jack, the night before we left, like we were getting ready to leave the house, he's doing like a little restless, stir crazy thing, running through the house, and ran into a door latch.
Of course.
Put a little puncture through the skin, and then a little tear. I was like, oh no, we're gonna have to go get stitches. It's like
Yeah,
11 o'clock
right.
at night.
Yay.
But it wasn't bad. If it would have gone all the way that the scratch has in, definitely. But it was just one little puncture and then like a scratch. And I was like, all right, I can grab some new skin, some of the liquid bandage, cover that up. But
Super glue.
it was close to needing stitches. He's 2. I was like, oh. Right when we're about to leave. But everything went smoothly. No car troubles. We didn't get stranded or anything like
That's
that.
good,
So
bro.
that's good. Have you heard of the SJJF? I'm not sure which one that is. He's in New Zealand. Says it's
Is
a
that an
national-
organization?
It's a competition organization, yeah.
I don't know. What does it stand for?
I don't know.
Okay.
Rules held by a national brand. Similar to Naga.
SJF.
Yeah. Naga. Did you see my post about the
Ah, it was hilarious. When
Belt
Naga
bunny.
and your girlfriend thinks you were UFC champ. How's it going?
T-1000s here? Yeah, Attack of the Robots.
Skynet.
Yeah, that one person said, yeah, it's security made by Skynet. Ideally, it would be household chores and be a training partner. Yeah, but I don't know
Yes.
if you want to treat it martial arts.
Yeah, I know. I know, right?
Doing
not
the
that it
dishes
would
is
need,
fine, but-
not that it would need jujitsu to break you, but still.
It has to stay one belt below you. You gotta be able to.
I mean, shoot, that thing would probably you'd be like, it promoted me. Like,
He downloaded his black belt,
Yeah.
gave me a black belt.
what are you gonna do?
One of the things that Elon was talking about on it was he wasn't going to make it extra strong. He was going to make it so that the average person could outmuscle it.
I'd feel better about that.
So like he's working on fail.
Hey, that would be cool because then at least, like, yeah, you wouldn't have to worry. If you could always outmuscle, and you don't have to worry about it, like, getting better at that. What's it going to do, lift weights?
Right,
No,
it can't.
You're not going to get stronger. I like that. Make it weak.
Did you talk to any of your family? No, it was not a jiu-jitsu trip. He was asking, did I talk any of my family into jiu-jitsu? One of them, my nephew wants to either do jiu-jitsu or wrestling. He did some wrestling in high
Nice,
school. He was
nice.
about to turn 18 and get out of high school. But he was here, I think it was September. And I ran him through a couple classes. He enjoyed that. So there's a lot of gyms out in Kansas. We were in Wichita. Pulled it up. There was like 5, 6, 7 gyms out there. Everybody was hitting me up. Hey, you drove right past us. You should stop on your way back.
Nuts.
Quick trip. It was
Yeah.
a quick trip. A lot of people do train on vacation.
A lot of people. Part of the vacation. I mean, I don't because my life is training. So when I'm on vacation, I'm probably not doing my
That's
work.
me too. I'm here
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah, man.
We're in it
I
every day.
tend to not. But I think it would be an awesome thing to do, for sure, man. To make like stops at like every gym along the way, so to speak. Not everyone, but like one a day. That would be awesome. It'd be super fun.
You could do that with like scheduling the vacation as a
Right,
jiu-jitsu trip,
itinerary it. Yeah.
but not like a family vacation.
No,
Unless you need to get
that's
away.
a little selfish.
Unless you
right?
need to get away.
Yeah.
You're like, you know
Or
what?
unless your whole family trains.
Yeah.
you know.
Last UFC, jiu-jitsu went spectacular.
Didn't see it. Was it good?
Oh, you didn't see it?
No, man.
2 rear naked chokes, a triangle, and a arm triangle.
That's the one.
4, I think there was 9 or 10 matches, 4 of them. And sometimes you'll go UFC, no submissions. People not even attempting to submit. It's really interesting that you don't see, so many armbar attempts or anything anymore.
Right.
It's just something
I haven't
you used to see it all
I don't
the
really
time.
notice that, to be honest. I don't think I follow closely enough to notice it. But yeah, I mean, to be honest though, I feel like even if you're not seeing submission finishes, it's probably because they used jiu-jitsu to not
Right.
have to do
I-
jiu-jitsu.
I
right?
see less attempts at submissions and more control. Get your ground and pound. Don't take the risk of losing position.
Right.
Very.
And that control is just jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. But submissions. We like submissions.
We love
submissions
'em.
are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a great night in UFC. Yeah, it was a fun one. It was fun. I think there was a couple knockouts, 4 submissions.
And was that the card that Taporia or whatever beat Walt, or is that a different card?
I think it was a different one.
Okay.
What's Henner's guy?
T-City.
T-City.
Yeah, Brian.
Yeah, he got the arm triangle. But right before the match start, Bruce Buffer was introducing him. He does like a box jump, comes down, rolls his ankle.
No way.
Yeah. Comes out.
In the octagon getting ready to go?
Yeah. Does like a box jump, comes down, rolls his
Everybody
ankle.
saw it?
Everyone saw it. He looks
Did he like
He hurt. He hurt himself. Looks at his
gosh.
coaches and he's like, "Oh no!" Comes out, bang, gets dropped.
Gets dropped?
Black eye, horrible.
bro.
It was like, oh.
Did he win?
This
I
might
don't know.
end in the first one, but he was able to fight through it, and then he came back and got the arm triangle.
Okay,
Nasty
good.
one.
I'm
Guy
a
tried
huge
to-
fan of that guy, bro. I love that guy, man.
Nasty one. Guy tried to turn away, so he locked up like the rear naked choke grip.
Nice.
Yeah, it was solid.
Nice.
It was fun. This one is going to give it some response. You had made a comment on this, and then it went crazy. Getting good at jiu-jitsu versus just training and having fun.
Getting good at jiu-jitsu
Training to get.
versus just training.
Yep, because mine was
I think I
not
know
every.
that.
Yep, not everyone trains to get good at jiu-jitsu or something along those
Oh
lines.
yeah. And I was like, huh? Right. I still say, huh? I don't know who trains without wanting to get good.
I think a lot of people are saying, well, by training, by default, you get good, right?
This is true.
And so that's the thing. But I think, so my intention on jiu-jitsu has changed. And I kind of feel conflicted about this. And it all happened when we had that conversation of like, okay, you need to get your belts so that you can get the guys below you your belts.
You need to care for your students, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so before, I trained jiu-jitsu because it was fun, it was a hobby, it was what I did. When it became a business and then, our conversation, it became, okay, I need to train to get good.
But that's different. That's not the same thing because that would be more like saying I'm training to get the next belt.
Right.
That's different than saying I'm training to get good. Right? That's
Well,
not
if
the
you
same.
get good, the belts kind of come.
Maybe if your coach notices, if you're not slipping on the radar. But I'm just saying, like, it's the mentality,
It's all mindset.
If you would have worded that and said, not everybody trains for the next belt, I just said, well, of course. That's a totally different statement. Totally different statement, right? Not everybody trains for the next belt. Well, yeah, I'm one of those because I'm not there is no next belt. So if you're a guy who gets a black belt and doesn't quit, you are now in the category of somebody who's not training for the next belt, right? But to say that same guy's not training to get better, how? How would you ever not train like to not get better? That's that's where I don't see. Now, if what you actually meant was for the next belt, I get it.
Just a different mindset. Am I going to jiu-jitsu class to have a good time, hang out with the guys, learn some jiu-jitsu, or am I showing up to be a better competitor, better?
Well, if you say to learn jiu-jitsu, that's getting you better, bro.
You're always,
if I
no
learn
matter what, if you show up to the class, you're going to get better.
Right.
But intention behind it.
No, I know what you're meaning. You're trying to separate what's going to happen by default from what your intention is.
You're going to get there.
Right.
It might be, so I felt like my learning curve has shortened when I show up and I'm being super intentional with my training to get good at jiu-jitsu. Whereas sometimes when I would show up to train beforehand, and this was when I was mainly a student and stuff, I'd go and be like, yeah, we're learning this today, and you talk a bit, and then you do your reps, and you talk a little bit, and it's kind of like a casual, we're training, we're going to get better, but my main goal isn't to be world champion or anything, it's just to go do jiu-jitsu. I enjoy it, so it's fun, here we go.
Right. No, I get that, but I just don't think that even in that scenario that you have fully taken out the idea of getting better. Like, you wouldn't drill it. Right. Like, what's the point of doing drills? Like, honestly, it's not for fun. You don't drill. It's not, for fun. You drill because you want to sharpen. Like, the same reason why you're sharpening your blade on your knife. What's the point? To make it sharper.
And I find that, so, all right, one of the reasons that I got into jiu-jitsu is because I was watching the UFC and I wanted to understand how everything was going and the different intricacies to it. And when I find a new angle on a sweep or if I see a new technique and it gives me an option for something, that's enjoyable for me. That's fun. That's so it's not necessarily, yes, you do get better. You do get better.
Well, that's what it is. If you find another way to do your sweep, I would say you got a little better.
Yeah.
Right. I'd say you did.
And that's the default.
And if your goal was to come to class to learn another way to do your sweep, then your goal was to get better.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe it's like a verbiage.
It
probably is. Verbiage thing.
Because I don't think you're picking up the way that I'm
I don't think so either. I think what you're meaning, maybe some people come there for social stuff.
Okay, if you went to play golf, some people are showing up to golf to reduce the number of swings. How many swings?
I get that.
And then other people show up, hey, it's a nice day out, we're swinging, we're taking a stroll.
Drinking beers and I don't care about my score, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people show up in those two ways to a jiu-jitsu thing. I think that's a better example.
I think I see that. That makes a little more sense to me because I know people that do. I don't think coaches really love that too much, right? Don't love it too much because getting better is important, But there are definitely people whose sole goal to show up to jiu-jitsu today isn't to get a better scissor sweep. Right. So, yeah.
The numbers were kind of outstanding on that. It got 759 likes, 77 hearts, 8 laughs. So those 8 laughs
Laughs. Those were people that
were like,
were
I'm
saying,
going to jiu-jitsu to get good. What are you talking about?
Of course. And they're not understanding why anybody wouldn't. Right.
Right.
Like, yeah. And I still am in that. And I definitely fall in that category. Like, one of those might have been my laugh face. I don't know. Because, yeah, to me, it's like,
I knew when I posted that, you were going to be like, oh, this is bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean.
Because you're very much a practical, we're
Right.
getting good at jiu-jitsu. This is, you're going to have more fun if you're better at jiu-jitsu. You're going to have more competitive
Right.
matches, and that's fun to you.
Yeah. Yep. And I just don't know how many people, if any, like, don't want to improve.
I think it's not that they don't want to improve. They're just chasing the camaraderie and the fun aspects more so than the competitive aspects of it.
Well, more so it would still include it though.
Right. It's
Right,
always
like-
going to be on the back burner if you're showing up for fun. You're going to get good. No matter what. If,
That's what the laughy faces
Yeah.
were. Is that people saying like, there's no way that there's going to be like a 0% of wanting to get better. It might be that I show up to jiu-jitsu and 80% of my reason for even being there is just to get better.
Yeah.
And then you show up and 5% of your reason for being there is to get better. But I don't think it exists the person with 0%.
I agree.
I think that's where,
I agree.
yeah.
And that's going to be with any hobby, right?
Pretty much.
Even if you're showing up to golf and you're drinking beers and everything, you always want to take a stroke off. You always want to get a little bit better.
I mean, I feel, yeah, maybe the golf one would be the only. I think it's also the fact it's a combat sport. Like you can't. It's not who has fun getting their ass whooped, right? Physically, you're not worried about that in a golf match. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think there's going to be a small percentage. At least a small percentage of everybody training jiu-jitsu whose goal is to improve.
The consequences are definitely greater in jiu-jitsu when
If you don't improve.
Yes.
Right.
You get smashed.
Yeah.
You still drink the same amount of beers on the golf course.
Right. Just hopefully don't gamble
Yeah,
on the holes.
yeah, don't do. Especially if you're just playing for fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be bad. Guys who leave jiu-jitsu for a girlfriend. That's a tough one. People do it. And it's like, no, come back. If you're work-life balance, work-play balance, home-play balance, all these things come into it. You have to balance these things. And if a girl comes in and goes, I don't want you to go to jiu-jitsu anymore, but it's something that you truly enjoy, yeesh.
Well, yeah, so there's two versions there, right? There's the version of the guy who met a girl that doesn't want him to do jiu-jitsu, and then there's the version of the guy who just gets so infatuated with this new girl that he doesn't train anymore, and she's not telling him not to train. So I think it really depends on which one it is. Yeah, because I can see, and I could even empathize with I met a new girl, like when I first met Rosie and I was training at NorCal at the time, I trained less because I wanted to spend every waking moment with this new girl that so I can see that. But if Rosie had told me, I don't want you to train anymore, that's a problem, man. That's a problem.
I think that's supernatural to train less when you start a new job or you have a life-changing event or a new girlfriend.
Right.
And it's not necessarily always going to be that way. It's just new, right?
Yeah.
Anything new is going to draw that you're interested in is going to draw some attention away from all your pre-existing things. But then you find a balance. It's when it's like this or that.
Yeah. If you're like an all or nothing personality or something. Yeah, and you got to remember too, like if with the girl, she liked you, she likes you, and she likes what you are. And that's what you are.
Right.
So are you going to all of a sudden say, you like this guy who is, a jiu-jitsu practitioner? Well, now I'm not. Because no, that doesn't make sense. You should stay what you were, what attracted her to you. Stay that. Probably likes the fact that you compete or fight or whatever.
Wanderlei Silva got into the UFC Hall of Fame because
Accidentally.
Dana White forgot that he banned him from it.
Right. I didn't know why he got banned in the first place. Why did he get banned?
Well, he had that 5-year suspension.
For what? Juice?
Running from it, I think. Running from the tests, I think was what.
Really?
It was. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what. Was that? Yeah, that was Vanderlei. I think he ran from a test.
Okay.
And then they suspended him for like 5 years. So instead of
Wow.
even if you test positive, your first offense, I think they give you 2 years.
Yeah, so just go test positive, bro. Why are you running?
And this is just what I'm recalling off the top of my brain. I could be wrong. I'm starting to think that was the Nick Diaz one and not the Vanderlei.
Nick ran from a test.
Yeah. No. Nick's was weed. He got popped for weed and they gave him 5 years.
Okay, was it? And that was the athletic commission that gave
that
him
was
5
the
years,
athletic
right? Not
commission.
in the.
And I think Vanderlei ran from one, and I think that's what it was. So
Okay.
correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, because I don't want to be wrong on that.
Okay.
We'll correct.
So
it if
was
I'm
that
wrong.
was that during Pride when he fought Gomi?
No, this was after. This was.
Okay, because I know he was like.
I think this was around when he was Chael Sonnen, the Ultimate Fighter time. I think.
And you're talking about Nathan or Nick?
Oh, Nick was. Nick got suspended for the 5 years.
Nick got okay, and that wasn't during the Gomi one because I know he got popped during Gomi, but he probably got popped a few times.
This was later. I think it was before the Silva fight.
Okay, I remember reading something that said that he tested positive for THC after the Gomi fight, and they said that the levels were so high that they were convinced he was fried during the match. They said no, and of course they're probably right. I'm sure he smoked run right before he went out there.
Of course.
But that just isn't performance enhancing, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that's ever dabbled with that stuff, like, how could that make you better?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, maybe recovery, maybe there's something to it, whatever, but like, I couldn't imagine smoking and then going to a UFC fight and having that improve your game.
No, this isn't Eddie Bravo's High Rollers. This is
No.
you're getting punched in the face. It's
Yeah.
a little bit different. Yeah. That
He took some shots that fight, though. I mean, finished him with that super sick, Gogo Plata or something. But
Nick and Nate both take a lot of damage.
busted up.
They always come back though. Their cardio
Always.
outworks. Brian Ellis says, I train to submit, I never train for points. With that being said, I compete in points competitions with the mindset of just submitting the person. This hasn't hurt me so far, but I worry one day I'm going to be caught with being down on points without getting the sub. Hasn't happened yet. And you must be fucking good. What's y'all's thoughts on this way is thinking?
Yeah.
So, Kama Jiu-Jitsu, Dave Kama is one of the original Dirty Dozen's first Americans to get a black belt. He trains his team this way. He comes from the Hickson lineage, and yeah, when they do their competitions, we're a self-defense school. We're a traditional Hickson Gracie Jiu-Jitsu school. If you want to go compete, fantastic. Don't even think about the points. I don't care if you lose on points. I want to see you chasing that sub. I want to see you chasing the self-defense aspects of jiu-jitsu.
Is that Crohn's dad? Is Hickson Crohn's dad?
Oh, I'm not sure. There's so many crazies.
Yeah, I think Crone Gracie, somebody might know. I think Crone Gracie is Hickson's son or something along those lines. And watching Crone compete is like watching that mentality in action. Pure submission hunting, don't care about points. It's all about the sub. And I'm okay with it. I wouldn't tell a guy to not be like that, but I also would say, like, it's a scenario. Look at this scenario you're in. I mean, because first of all, like, much as you'd like to submit everybody, you ain't gonna.
Yeah.
So you might as well still get your arm raised.
The more competitive matches you have, it's gonna be 0-0. It's gonna be an advantage. It's gonna be going to those points. And if you're
It's a good mentality, though.
if you're submitting everyone that you've ever competed against,
You gotta go against tougher dudes.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna submit everybody. But then again, I doubt that's what I doubt he's saying. I submit everybody I go against. I think what he's saying is that's my mentality,
Okay.
and I totally agree with that. If your mentality is I want to finish you every time, how could that be bad? I don't see any problem with having the mentality of I fight to submit. Right, I think from a coach's perspective, I would just be bummed if, like, at the end of a match, instead of sweeping him to win, you sat there trying to finish your cross collar choke because all you care about is subs. I'd be like, could you have still won though?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
But again, like, if that's your mentality, I go for the finish. Awesome. That's good, man.
I've switched my game up a lot because of you, because I like hunting submissions, and sometimes I'll lose positions because of it. And I've found myself a lot by your direction of like, just keep the position, just stay on top.
I'm
Like,
all about position over submission,
yeah,
man.
just keep it, just control them, make it
Right.
0-0 with an advantage. Make it
Right.
Yeah,
And that's not to say that I don't think you should go for the sub if it's there. Of course you go
Yeah.
for it. I just think that it's nice to be like well-rounded with that.
Yeah.
Smart, you know what I mean? Like strategic, game planning kind. But yeah, it's a great mentality to have, man. A lot of people have it. Go for the sub or nothing. Brett's kind of like that, right? I'm black belt on my team.
high finish rate.
High finish rate, and I'm not really. Like if you look at even just my sparring rounds, I'm more control. I'm more points. I'm way more position than I am submission. I think even if you look at like my competition history, I've got way more wins by decision than I do submissions.
Yeah.
Way more. So, I don't know. I think a win's a win. A win is a win. It's cooler to sub though. Let's be honest.
it is.
It's way cooler to sub.
A lot of competitions used to do extra matches if you were tied, and now they're going to if you've won by submission.
Extra matches if you're tied. What do you
Yeah,
mean?
so Grappling Industries, I think this is a fairly recent change, because I used to see them if they were even. So if both people got 2 wins, or 3 wins, they would actually have them have a match in order to determine the winner. And now if one of those has beat the other person, or if one of those has submitted another person, they'll count that in favor instead of having another match. So there's a hierarchy of winning. So
But won't they meet each other in the tournament if they both have not lost?
it's they do round robin.
Right, and you
And-
still fight each other, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so won't you find out right
Well,
then?
sometimes they don't. So if there's like 8 people, they'll do 2 round robins, and then
Oh.
they'll have an elimination bracket to it. But they used to do, so if you were in the same bracket, everyone competes against everyone. If you had equal wins, it didn't matter if you had a loss to that person. You would still compete for that first place.
It didn't matter if you had a loss.
To that-
Interesting.
to that
Oh,
other
to
person.
that person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So if it was 2-2, it would go to single elimination.
Interesting.
And now they're ranking it by points and submissions. Yeah, so
Okay.
if you got a submission, that's like winner. If you have 5 points and they got 2, that would be the win.
And that's just a scenario where they haven't gotten to
Yeah.
fight each other. They should just fight each other.
I agree. There was a couple fairly recent competitions. It was like, all right, we have, you guys have the same amount of wins. We should go to elimination, and then all of a sudden it pops up, oh, but they had a submission win. It's like, yeah. I agree.
Yeah,
Take the extra 5 minutes, let them battle it out.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, just let them have a match. Even though, like, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna have some sort of a criteria thing, like I could see more looking at that for like a team score thing, right? Like if you have 2 teams that are tied for the overall team lead, which team subbed more people or something like that. I think submissions should play a role, but in that situation, let them fight.
Yeah, it's just a jiu-jitsu match.
Yeah.
Anything else going on at Esteem?
Yeah, everything's the same.
Good training, all the things. Any
Going
other
right along,
questions
man.
from you guys? We got 4 of you guys still in here. Any questions before we head out? Kind of a short one today. My kid's got a minimum day. Gotta go get him in a little bit.
Oh, your boy?
Yeah. Should...
What are the things that you post from? You didn't post.
That went back a couple weeks on a lot of those. The getting good at jiu-jitsu was one of the biggest ones.
Should be the match should be based on win-loss ratio.
Yeah.
Security to nothing. Meet your combat. Guys who leave BJJ. Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
You
right.
know.
Well, thanks for joining us again. We are back. We should be back next Friday. And hope to catch you guys sometime. I would love to share the mat sometimes. Yeah, definitely. We're here in Northern California, so come see us. We got Esteem Jiu-Jitsu in Petaluma, AKS here in Rohnert Park. So try some classes, come drop in, open mats, open trainings, all those fun things. We will see you in the next one.
1 week.